All right, welcome back to another video of the Targeted Individual Program, the Targeted Individual Experience. So, just sitting here, I was watching Black Panther earlier, Wakanda Forever, and you know, there's just certain scenes in that movie um, which use the police siren. Whenever, like I said, when it talks about particularly black people, and again, studying what has been done to me. All right, so studying what has been done to me um, as a targeted individual person or a targeted person, um, the one of the things that they operate in is anonymity. Anonymity. I'm not saying that right. You gotta excuse me, but and in secret and do things covertly. So you're never really too sure what's going on. Plus it's fear based, right? It's fear based driven in order to silence you, in order to isolate you, right? And so also like I said, my son has been suffering from the same type of headaches that I've been suffering from. And even I just spoke to my kids with my daughter. I was playing some roadblocks with her for a little bit. And you know I can see when playing certain games with Roblox with her. We was playing a game called Snow Obby. It's like an obby game where you basically go through obstacles, right? So I'm playing this game with her, and on the side of the screen, you have like these menus, stuff like that, and it has one of the sign. It says "Kill them all." I'm saying to myself, why would somebody create a game like that? It's an obby game, right? Kids play. You go through obstacle, things. You got to go up in the ladders and jump over things, that can kill you during the game, or you'll fall off the platform, right? But why have a sign up there that says "Kill them all"? Okay, for parents that have kids, you have to be very careful. The games, explaining to your children, right, how they use these games, how they can manipulate their minds. Okay, because you see, one thing about these individuals is that they know that within the population, everybody can be manipulated. Some more so than others, right? Some people are more susceptible to subliminal messages. Some people are more susceptible to certain kind of drugs. Certain people are more susceptible to alcohol. And so they know this. Okay? Particularly in the black community, we talk about the school to prison pipeline. There's a reason why it's called the school to prison pipeline. Okay? Because they are using the school system, right? Plus, again, using these technologies on us, particularly those of us, who are black and Europeans, uh, who go into the school system, where you have teachers, white supremacist teachers, right, who will psychologically stare us as teenagers, as young children, as teenagers, away from certain fields, certain careers. In school you have your guidance counselor, stuff like that, and even the ones that look like us, right? There is a reason why most teachers within the school system, the educational system, are one, women, and two, white males. The vast majority, right? And when I say women, I mean the vast majority of them are white women, then black women, then white males, right? Why? I remember growing up, we used to have black male teachers in the 80s. We used to have white male teachers that was pretty cool, you know? But it isn't until you get to high school, right? And in my experience, okay, that's when you really start to see, um, for us growing up back in the 80s and going towards the end of the 90s, the end of the 90s, but the end of the 80s, right? From within the 80s, right? That you see, we had teachers, black teachers, who were teaching us about our history, and white teachers, because of the black teachers' popularity, doesn't matter if they're male or female, black male or female, they rally against those teachers and get them kicked out of the school. Those teachers experience, uh, racism that we as students, you know, had no idea of why they were leaving. And the thing about it, those teachers, they were trying to save our psychology, right? Us, because if they was to tell us the truth, probably we would have walked out of the school and or what have you, right? So again, but it's always better to tell students the truth. If you're a black teacher, you're experiencing racism and they're driving you out of the school because you're teaching the kids their history, the black kids their history. You know, tell your students the truth, okay? You'll be surprised, all right? There's a lot of stuff when they go online, all the stuff that they experience, right? The programming that goes on, so you got to be very, very careful. It's like whenever I watch movies, or whenever if my kids are playing any type of game, whether it be like particularly my oldest, when he was a teenager, he was very good at those first person shooters. And I used to tell him, I said, just remember, it's just a game, all right? It's just a game, okay? In real life, when you die, you die. Ain't no coming back, right? And so, if you are a parent, doesn't matter what color you are, what ethnicity you are. If you have teenagers, then you need to make them understand that, because their minds are being manipulated. Okay. When you start to see the military getting involved with game developers, right? Particularly, creating and developing these first-person shooters like Call of Duty, Battlefield, other types of those things. You have to be very, very careful. So you need to speak to your kids about these things. And again, this is Roblox, which is like kids game, and I only play when my daughter's playing. I get tons of friend requests. She's always, I got 400 friend requests or something like that. But I get tons of friends, and I just delete them. The only people on Roblox that I friends with is my kids and my ex's uh, kids, and I barely even play with them. I play with my daughter the most. Okay, until if we're if my daughter's playing a game and one of my ex kids is on there playing the game, we'll play together. But that's about it, right? And because I've noticed some of the things that goes on Roblox, particularly when you have uh, character models and the type of clothing, and I can tell these are adults. I can say to myself, there's no way kids are dressing up their avatars to look like that. Okay? These are adults, right? And so this is why, like I said, you have to talk to your kids. You have to. They've been manipulated. And again, where is the approval process, in terms of Roblox? Where is there, but there's an agenda. And like I said, they understand how they program people, how they indoctrinate people, how they uh, create different personalities, right? When kids play these games, they know this. So again, remember, there's a business. There is money in conflict. There's money in when you see all these crimes taking place. There's money in those things. Okay, and those that are in power, those the wealthy, you know, think about it like this. Okay, and this is something that I always say to myself. Back in the days of slavery, when black people were physically enslaved, right? It was for what? In the South, why was the North scared of the South? Because slavery allowed the South to become an economic powerhouse. And they were going to overtake the North. So this is why when people say, "Well, Lincoln freed the slave," he didn't free the slave out of his human uh, um, of empathy, or the fact that he thought that no human being should be enslaved. He freed the slave because he had to, because the South would have become the de facto dominant power in the United States. Okay? This is why. So let's be clear on these things. You know? He even said it himself. He said, if there was a way to save the institution of slavery within the South, he would have saved it. This is his own words, right? But imagine how when these liberals get on television, right? And I was talking about Abraham Lincoln, and you have these black Sambos. That's why I call them Sambos. They're not Uncle Toms, right? It's another thing too. If you're a black person and you call a person an Uncle Tom, that means that person is a black person who want to see you do good, want to see, who's not going to be used as a puppet against your people. That's who Uncle Tom was. But understand what white people have done to our heroes. They have turned our heroes into villains, while their villains, the people who murdered our people, our ancestors, who rape, assault, do all kind of horrible things, they have us celebrating them as heroes. Okay? So anyhow, they understand that with the internet, that the truth is out there, and they want to prevent us from learning the truth. Whether you're black, white, Asian, what have you, they want to prevent you and us from learning the truth. Okay? So be careful with these games online, particularly these games your children play. Pay attention to what your kids is playing. Speak to your children and speak to them honestly in a realistic way. Okay? Y'all need to stop with this bullshit of having your kids get on their knees and praying to God and make everything okay. Right? People are suffering from psychological issues because of stuff that goes on in their life, things are being done to them, and you want to give them a Bible instead of saying, hey, you know what, let me take you to a therapist. Okay? The delusion that you think that God's going to fix everything, no. So anyhow, plus on top of that too, I got to take my kid tomorrow, Ethan, to get an MRI, and they don't want that, right? They don't want me to get evidence of the technology that they've been using, how harmful it is to our kids. See, they know it's harmful to human beings. I have my medical records to show, right? Damage to the gray matter of my brain, gray matter, white matter. Okay, that was consistent with these sports players, just like with the diplomats. That you never had a concussion, right? That's when people have concussions, and they see it within. Go look at any video that explains when it comes to athletes, particularly football players, having concussions, right? What it does to their brain, right? TIs, target individuals, and the diplomats who hit with these sonic weapons, the damage is similar, actually the same. Okay, some may be worse than others. Okay, so they notice. So like I said, so now whenever I'm watching a video and when it says outside, they start using the police sirens. Well, I'm going to go outside tomorrow because I'm going to take my son to get an MRI. And again, I already know their tactics, and their tactics is to try to deter me from taking him to get an MRI because they don't want any evidence to show the damage that they've done to my kids. Right? And my daughter have the same type of headaches. Okay, but she's too young to get an MRI. Right? This whole week, my son been coming home from school. Before I forget, yesterday when I couldn't get touch him, he literally came home and went to sleep. And I just spoke to my daughter, and he was in his bed. It's early too, because his head is hurting. Okay, and my daughter already told me. I told her, when you go to school, whenever you feel those headaches coming on, try to remember and let me know. Okay, and like she's getting them at least 3 or 4 times a week. And this is what they're trying to hide. Okay, and I can only imagine how many more people who don't know what's going on, what is being done to them and their children. And a lot of us don't even take our children to the doctor, you know, particularly in the black community. When you're younger, you know, your parents don't take you to the doctor. Even as teenagers, I can when I was younger, when I was dating, you know, I can tell you how when I met young black women that their parents never took them to the uh, pediatrician, that they've never even been to a gynecologist. But again, that was me, 20 some odd years ago. Okay, and I see the same thing happening today too. And it is ridiculous. It is incumbent upon us as adults, as parents with children, that we try to do what's best for our children. Even for those of us as targeted individuals who are being targeted, specifically targeted, who having their lives destroyed, their career destroyed, their relationship destroyed, their marriage destroyed, their health destroyed, physical and mental. Right? And this is what they are afraid of. They're afraid of targeted individuals like myself and others. Okay? Overcoming this fear-based programming to speak the truth. To keep us in a position to where we're damaged psychologically, we're damaged health-wise, right? Physically, right? And to try to, then, when we're so damaged that we have to, we basically made us disabled, and then use the threat of taking away our disability in order to silence us. Imagine that. America, right? Democracy, right? The greatest nation on the planet, right? The one who talks about what North Korea is doing to their citizens, what China is doing to their citizens, what other countries are doing. They're attacking journalists. They're attacking those that speak the truth in those countries. And not once do they even stop and realize that they are doing the same thing here in the United States. Why? Because the people that run our country, the people that create havoc in our lives, right? They have the vast majority of them have the dark triad personalities. And anybody who become a Christ, a Christos, right? Not some made up person that's in your Bible, but an individual who's reached a higher level of consciousness, who's able to see what's going on in the society that they live in and decide that they're going to speak out about it no matter what. Those people have reached that level, that anointment. And that anointment don't come from you or anybody else. It comes from them seeing the truth, understanding the truth, and realizing the truth, and speaking out against the evil and the ills within the society and the people who are creating these things. But what did they do? They took the Christ out of you and they put him in the sky. So you're going to always look for that Christ in the sky, that white man with blue eyes in the sky, particularly if you're a black person, white man in blue, to come save you. But how's that working out for us as a people? And how's that working out for us as targeted individuals? How's it working out for us as targeted individuals? So anyway, like I said, I will continue to do my videos, continue to speak out, continue to expose what it is that they're doing. Because like I said, it's more than just me. Okay? Not only is it more than just me, but it's also my kids, and it's more than just my kids. It's your kids, and it's more than just your kids. It is for everybody to understand what's going on. for everybody to understand that the people, that these people that they have passed on their mindset to their offspring, and they continue to do that. Why? Because they think that they are different from us. They think that they are better. They are gods, and we are their uh, um, play toys. Right? It's like chess. We are the pawns in their psychotic, maniacal, psychopathic thinking. Just remember that. So when, I always say when Farrakhan had that interview with Mike Wallace, and he was talking about Idi Amin, all right, and he was like, uh, "Is there a more corrupt nation in the world than I forgot what country it was? I think it was Nigeria or something like that." Farrakhan said, "Well, Nigeria only got its independence, a few decades ago. United States have have caused wars in countries, have toppled governments secretly, have instilled dictators that brutalize their citizens. Even right now in Afghanistan, right? What do they have? They talk about um, there's a these U.S. intelligence forces working with the Afghan forces, literally seeking, hunting, and killing people who they think could be a threat. Could be a threat. Okay, these people have to commit no crimes. But what do you expect? What do you expect when you've killed their parents? You kill their father, their mother, their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncles. What do you expect? There's a website that is called the Memory Hole, okay, and the other one is called the Academy of Ideas, okay, and there's a lot of documentary, a lot of topics that they discuss, particularly within our government. I had an interesting conversation with another TI, and just talking about China, and I've always said this, right, that the greatest threat to America is corporate America, the corporations. But because the corporations have money, and now corporation is actually a person, right? In terms of campaign financing, right? Corporations created a uh, um, skillless generations of people by moving uh, production of products that people used to make here in the United States. They had skilled workers sent over to China for cheap labor, over to Taiwan, to Vietnam, Taiwan, all these other places, right? And then the U.S. government now saying, well, China is advancing. China is now the number one in terms of the number one economic power in the world, and will soon overtake the United States as far as the military. So what do the United States do? Now the military budget is almost $1 trillion. Okay, China workers are very skilled, while workers here in the United States can't build shit, except for a few, not all, but there are very tiny few pockets of here where they actually build things, you know. But it's nothing that is sophisticated and technical. I mean, there's a level of sophistication, right? So you have like speaker companies, right? You have look at Carrier, right? What did they do? They moved their plant to Mexico. And what do you think will happen in the next decade or two? The vast majority of Americans would not be skilled at anything. So when they say China is this and that, well, corporation gave China the technology. Okay, when you are building the things that you design here, it's easy for the Chinese government to advance militarily, but also technologically. So for this, because of greed, they've basically created a as TI they like to say, where public safety, whatever they do this for public safety, really, and want to say that we're a threat. They always do projectionism, right? If it wasn't for corporations and what they've done, China wouldn't be the superpower that it is today, and that's the honest truth. But they don't. Our representative in the government don't want to say anything. They don't want to say anything about that. They don't want to say to these corporations, you need to bring your production back here in the United States. They're not going to do it. Why? Greed. Greed is a mental illness, and it is a serious mental illness. And these greedy people are the biggest and greatest threat to America and its citizens and to those living here, without a doubt. So as a TI, don't believe the BS that they try to tell you. They know who the threat is. Okay? I always say we are just a distraction. Governments have always used individuals, groups of people as distraction. And what do you think will happen to the rest of the people? We see it happen in Germany. We see it happen in France. Okay? So, with that being said, I know that, listen, again, when you study history, you know history, when you speak the truth, they will try to silence you in every single way. Like I said, they will set you up to shut you up. Okay? So with that being said, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.